We got video.
So continue, sorry. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, this morning. Good morning to everybody. My name is Scott Ferris. I am the Chief Business Officer of Luminar Technologies.
Hey, what's up?
We're happy to meet everybody today and happy to talk about autonomous vehicles and LiDAR and what we're doing here to help make autonomous cars possible. My name's Andy. I'm involved with our technology and engineering side, so while Scott is more of a business guy, who knows a little bit of technology, I'm more of a science engineering guy who knows a little bit about business.
And I'm Kristen Ferris, I'm the marketing coordinator, and I received the email and I've kind of put together your list of top questions, so I just do fun stuff in there.
So thanks for all the questions, everybody. It was quite a long list, but what was really interesting is that a lot of the questions you had, a lot of your classmates had the same questions, so we should hopefully be able to answer a lot of them. And so what we thought we would do is we kind of compiled a list of 7 questions that were representative of a lot of the questions that were asked. We have time, we can cover some others, but we thought we'd start at a really high level and really kind of talk about what is an autonomous car and how does it work. So I'm going to talk a little bit, and then Matt's got some videos and some slides he's going to share, and we'll kind of walk through it. But at a very high level, the idea of an autonomous car is a car that drives itself. It doesn't necessarily just need to be a car. It can be a truck. It can be a tractor on a farm. So it's any vehicle that typically would require a person to drive it could be replaced by effectively a robot or a computer that would drive the car in place of a human. There's a lot of reasons why that is a good thing, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But what we thought we'd do is really talk about initially is how this works and why what we do here at Luminar is important to make it work. The thing I would like to say, and I'll turn this over to Matt here in a second, is that the idea of an autonomous car really is not anything new. It's been around for a really long time. Really since cars were first invented, the idea of having cars that drive themselves has been something that people have been dreaming about. The technology or the tools to make that happen are really just now beginning to become a reality. But this has been a long time dream of mankind to be able to have vehicles drive themselves and to do work for them. So, Matt, if you want to kind of share a couple points on that.
Yeah, so I think what Scott says is totally right. It's funny if you think about it. When cars were invented, everybody was using horses to get around, right? And the horses kind of drive themselves. You don't have to. The horse can get itself places. Your multi is there to help make sure it goes where you want it to go. So in people's minds, the car actually required them to do more work. And so since cars have existed, people have had a vision of cars that would do the whole drive for them. And so here's Henry Ford, the guy who first made cars available for everybody. And here's a magazine clipping from the 1950s, so from 70 years ago almost, that shows a family in a car driving all by itself. They're not paying attention to the driving, they're playing and working. And now what's really interesting is that hasn't happened yet, and that our vision of the future is still kind of the same thing. We just have fancier ways of showing it. And what's different, like what Scott said, is that we now have more advanced technologies to be able to try and do this, and more importantly, to be able to do it really safely. And I think it was great. A lot of you had questions about what's the use of this stuff, and is it safe? And so here's an example that shows that there are different levels of autonomy. So the cars that you guys are going to learn how to drive in, with some of you sooner than others, are on the scale of autonomy. You can do cruise control, for example, which allows you to not have to constantly manage the speed of the car with the brake and acceleration pedals. And even some cars have the ability to take your hands off the wheel and it'll keep the vehicle in the lane. But no cars right now on the road that you can buy have the ability to
allow you to stop looking and paying attention. So it's still really important for all drivers in cars today to still be paying attention to the road, because the features in those cars aren't truly self-driving yet. When we get to what Luminar works on, which is what's called level 4 and level 5 autonomy, it's when you can still pay attention and the car will be able to do all of the driving tasks safely. And in some cases, not have a human in the car at all.
Yeah, and I think to go back, Matt, to that slide, I think one of the questions that some folks had is that you see in the first 4 instances, you still have all of the controls that you're used to seeing in cars that you drive today, but the true implementation of the technologies when you get to what's this number 5, where there is no driver, but you also see there's no steering wheel. There's no controls in the car at that point for a human to interface with. So the car at that point becomes something very different. It becomes something that you just get into and it'll take you to your destination, and you have very little, no control of how that vehicle operates.
And so you'll still be needing a driver's license for all of the future that we can see to be able to operate vehicles from levels 1 through 4 on this list. And level 5 vehicles will never own, right? Those will be cars like taxi cabs, like Ubers, that will be out in the world that you can use every now and then. But it's unlikely you'll own a car that doesn't require you to have a driver's license. Having a driver's license will always be very important, as long as there are vehicles that are level 4 or lower. And what might be interesting, though, is that you all, as you grow up and learn how to drive cars, may have to learn in different ways how to interact with these cars so that they can remain safe. And so I think that's a good segue, because safety is really the whole point of why autonomous cars are so interesting and why Luminar are coming so interested in autonomy. So here's an example, and hopefully this speed's okay. This is a video of an existing system in a bus that's meant to promote safety. So these are kids getting off their bus somewhere in Europe, probably roughly your age, and here comes an oncoming bus or a truck, and it has automatic autonomous braking in it. So the driver of that bus or that truck didn't have time. There was no way of knowing this kid was going to run out in front of him, and the vehicle was able to identify that was a risk and slam the brakes and slow the vehicle down and stop it way faster than a human would have been able to. And so these are technologies that are already out there today in passenger cars and in trucks and in buses, and they use technology similar to what Luminar is using to try and allow vehicles to drive themselves all the time. So then the question is, what does Luminar do specifically? So like you're learning to do as you all learn how to drive a car, you use your senses. You use your eyes, your sight, your hearing to be able to know what's going on around you so that you can safely control the car on the road. And so similarly, if a car is going to drive itself, it needs eyes. It needs senses to be able to know what's going on around it, and that's what Luminar does. So specifically, this little 2-eyed box off on the left there, which we put on trucks and in cars, captures images of the world. But unlike a normal camera that you may see on your phones or in other cameras, like the camera that's grabbing our images today, our cameras measure the world in 3 dimensions. So what that means is that if I take an image with our sensor of this intersection, and I'll explain what all the colors mean in a minute, but you can see here that there's some people at an intersection, and there's some trees and poles, and there's some cable car wires along the high part, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. And if I zoom in on this 3D data, I can see there's a truck way down there, a football field away, and you see all these little points on the car. And so our sensors actually know where all of these points are, all of these individual little colorful dots in 3-dimensional space. So I know exactly how far away that truck is, not just what it looks like, which the camera would tell me. And so this is an example of this video here of the same scene, and we'll basically zoom in and out of our data. So you might, so the colors are a good question here. So what we're doing with color here is that we are helping you understand how far away different things are by showing it in rainbow vision. So we color red to show distance. So you can see where the camera starts out here is blue, and as it kind of zooms in, you'll see it wrap through all the colors of the rainbow, back through blue a few times, and that tells you how far away all the things are. So we can show this with all white dots, but it helps you understand the three-dimensional nature. And if you play video games, which I assume most of you do, it's kind of similar. The data that we collect is more similar to the 3D worlds that you may play video games in. So you can explore that environment without having to drive through it. So this whole video here is from a single place. So that sensor doesn't move. We're literally just zooming in and exploring the 3D data. And having the vehicle with that much information about exactly what's going on and where it's happening in 3 dimensions around the vehicle allows it to know a lot more than even a human driver does about the driving environment. So it can more effectively drive and more safely drive with information all around it. So you can imagine that for one of these vehicles, if they have sensors like this that cover every direction around the car, it's a lot more information than a human driver does, because the human driver only sees what's in front of them. They can move their head around, but as soon as you look to the side, you lose the other side in the back. So what this would do, the car would know exactly what's going on everywhere around it at all times, which you can imagine makes it much safer than what a human can do.
Yeah, so I think one of the things to also consider here is that we're actually doing this with lasers. So for any of you that's ever used a laser pointer where you're basically sending out a single laser beam at any given time, that's effectively what we're doing, but we're sending out millions of laser beams at the same time. So what you see here is laser light bouncing off of all of these objects effectively simultaneously. So we're sending out millions of laser pointer lights at the same time, and we're measuring them coming back, and based upon the time it takes for that light to bounce off an object and come back into the eye of the sensor, that tells us how far out that object is. And the more laser light points that we can put on an object, as you can see with the truck here, we begin to understand the shape of the object. And once we know the shape of the object, we can then begin to understand what that object is. And so we can differentiate, you can see the picture here, you can see people walking. I think in the distance there's a person pushing a carrier. So again, what we're really do is we're really looking at the environment as a computer would look at it. It becomes really important to know whether an object out there is a tree, or if it's a person, or if it's a kid kicking a ball, because if it's a tree, we know it's not going to move. If it's a person walking, we need to understand where they're moving to. But if it's a kid kicking a ball, for example, there's a lot more uncertainty of what could happen. That kid could kick the ball out into the street. So again, as you get your driver's license, these are things that you start to learn yourself. It's to understand and start to predict what certain people in your line of sight are going to do. And generally, the younger the person is, the more unpredictable that you have to plan for that person, whether they could accidentally jump in front of the car that you're driving, or the computer is driving to retrieve the ball, for example.
And so, while we focus on cars, because it's a specific business opportunity for us, the whole world is working on robots of all different types to run factories, to help with what's another good example, with helping with elderly, caring for the elderly, for food preparation, for all kinds of things, and all of these different types of robots that are trying to do something in the real world. Even if they're really simple things, need to know exactly what's going on in the scene, and that's where the data that we collect, the sensors that we make, play.
So the reason that so many people are working on this is because of the potential benefit. So right now, again, most people, well, all cars require people to drive them. But for example, if you have an elderly person who is unable to drive, but may need to go
accessibility for the vehicle. And so the idea with autonomous vehicles is that you can start to also specialize the car to very specific use cases. So for example, there's a lot of work going on right now. How do you make autonomous emergency vehicles that can go into dangerous situations, or to be able to have special equipment on it so that specific individuals can use it? If you look at other markets, for example, one of the biggest markets for autonomous is in mining applications. So mining is a very dangerous environment, and so you need trucks, you need vehicles, you need cranes, you need things in those kinds of environments. And so this is a way to put those types of vehicles into a dangerous environment without endangering a human life. Obviously, a lot of military applications where you can remove soldiers from a harmful situation by putting vehicles in place that are able to drive and navigate themselves. And in fact, really a lot of the modern effort in autonomous vehicles started about 15 years ago by the U.S. Department of Defense, and they ran a competition called a Grand Challenge. And they challenged college teams from across the United States to design and build vehicles that could navigate through a very dangerous desert environment on their own. I think they did this over 7 years before someone was able to actually complete the 100-mile course of a vehicle that would navigate. So in fact, I think the first year they did it, most of the vehicles crashed within the first 10 miles. So a lot of the modern technology of looking at autonomy came from the Department of Defense, and really looking at ways that they could protect soldiers, but able to deliver goods and services into very dangerous environments.
And on that same thought, a few of you asked about jobs and what people do, and if these robots are going to, as some people say, take all our jobs. And I think that it's really important to understand that most of the applications, if not all the applications of robotics, including self-driving cars, are best when cars and people work together, or when robots and people work together. And so all of these cars, once we figure out how to do fully autonomous robo-taxis, for example, are going to need to be maintained. And there's going to need to be a lot more vehicle mechanics, for example, to make these vehicles keep operating. There's going to have to be people who can organize how all these cars get around. And there's going to be more people building the technologies like Luminar to make them possible. And so while some jobs will become over time less used, less important, other jobs will come about. This has happened throughout all of history. As new technologies and new opportunities come, some people need to find a slightly different job. But there's always more and more for people to do, and generally more interesting things for them to do over time. And that's a big thing to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, so one of the other questions that I think was a popular question was what happens if the autonomous car doesn't detect something in the right amount of time? And I think I saw it in Matt's video that he showed. That truck was moving at a very, very rapid speed. That was a highway speed, and a young child jumped in front of it, and it was able to detect something in the appropriate amount of time. So again, at a very basic level, the autonomous vehicles actually see things much faster and much better than a human would be able to react to. But there always are going to be situations where there are, again, driving is a very complex thing, and there are many moving things, many moving things around a car, and cars might have to start making choices of what to do in those types of situations. And that's a whole new layer of technology of how to teach the cars to be able to make the right choices. In some cases, there may be no right choices. It may be selecting among a series of bad choices. And so in some cases, this all comes down to how do you protect the occupants of the vehicle? How do you protect the people around the vehicle? And so that's an area that's always going to be an ongoing area, I think, of discussion and debate and research in some cases, is the occupant more important than the pedestrian or vice versa? So, this starts to get into areas of some ethics and morals that I think that ultimately the technology will have to deal with as well.
Yeah.
Good. So one of the questions, can I see stop signs and red lights? So again, we make LiDAR. So what the LiDAR does, as Matt indicated, is the LiDAR measures the environment by bouncing pulses of light off of it. LiDAR determine color. So we use colors to show distance, but the LiDAR itself can't tell the difference between a red light and a green light. And so I think the point there is that ultimately there are also other senses that are being used. So the obvious one is cameras. A camera can tell you the difference between a red light and a green light and a yellow light. And so they're all, the autonomous cars will always have different kinds of sensors on them because not all sensors work in every kind of environment. So again, for any of you that's ever driven in fog, fog is a very difficult environment to drive in. And so not all autonomous vehicles will be able to drive in every condition. Certainly as a human driver, if you're driving in a very foggy environment or an environment that has a lot of rain, you drive very cautiously and a lot slower. Autonomous vehicles will do the same. It's for as much as the protection of the passengers. But if you're in a foggy environment, if you can't see a person crossing the street, more importantly, that person crossing the street can't see you. And so there's always a level of safety of the cars will have to operate with the idea that those around them can't see them as well. So one of the questions was about Luminar, and we founded Luminar, and I think that's a really cool story unto itself. So the founder of Luminar, actually, I think when he was 18 or 19, started the company in Silicon Valley. So this is a really great story. A lot of modern social media companies like Instagram were started by really young people in California and Silicon Valley, and Luminar is very much the same. Started a young person. He had gone to college, ultimately dropped out of college because he knew more than his professors. And started really asking questions and he loved to play with lasers. And so he started playing with lasers to try and determine could he create these kinds of pictures that you see on the screen so that the cars could see safely. And finally got to the point where he was able to demonstrate that, and then from that, a company started kind of growing around this idea. And if you look at our California operation today, because one of the other questions you asked about is software, there's a very large software development component that goes to this as well. And the young gentleman that started our software team, I believe, was 18 when he started the software team. So you had the CEO of the company start the company when he was 18 or 19, and then you had the lead software architect start with the company when he was 18 years old. So these guys all are in their early 20s now. So by business standards, they're still quite young, but by Silicon Valley standards, they're actually quite old.
So that actually goes into a good line. So at Luminar is a really good example of people with jobs of all different types. So we have people like myself who work with lasers and light and lenses, and we have people who not just talked about in California working with code and software and understanding how to use the data we collect. We've got people on the business side who are trying to make money and make our customers happy. We have people who are trying to figure out how to communicate with all sorts of different folks, like government, like reporters, like students in Arkansas. And so we've got people from all different fields of expertise working together in a company and growing very quickly to be able to do that. And production as well, people who are actually building our sensors and testing them as well.
So I think another line of questioning that was brought up was how self-driving cars are going to be powered. And I think the short answer to that is that all cars are effectively becoming electric cars. And I think over the next 20 to 30 years, you'll see most cars become electric cars. The use of autonomous technology in vehicles actually is accelerating that. And so a lot of the early, particularly for passenger vehicles, you'll use in what are called taxi applications, you'll see electric platforms become more and more predominant. And there are a lot of other reasons why that's the case. But you'll see, again, most of the automotive manufacturers are looking at electric platforms to do this. So this is back to, you have to plug your car in at night. You may have to plug it in during the day. Electric cars are getting better and better. They're actually getting to the point where they have the same range and distance as gasoline-powered vehicles. So again, you'll see a lot of the early commercial vehicles or passenger vehicles be electric-type vehicles. I think for the larger trucks and industrial equipment and construction equipment, those will still be more kind of traditional gasoline-powered vehicles. Right now, one of the biggest areas we see actually for interest in autonomous is in construction equipment. So again, this is an area, for example, where you may see some jobs disappear. People that have operated big dump trucks and loading equipment and things of that nature, those jobs will disappear because you'll see those vehicles become more and more autonomous. But those jobs are actually being made up in other parts of the construction environment. So you wouldn't necessarily have to be skilled as a truck driver, but you may actually need to be skilled in terms of how you set up the construction environment so the autonomous vehicles can operate.
Yeah, robots in general tend to be made to be very good at specific things. And what's so awesome about humans is that we are usually good at lots of different things. And so a lot of the jobs where humans did one specific thing really well will now be turned into jobs where you'll be helping the robot be successful in whatever its specifically good task is. So it can be successful generally.
So I think there's a question around the cost of this. And certainly the cost today is very high. The expectation over time is that the cost will continue to decrease. But because the cost is high today, we believe that most of the initial uses of autonomy will be in trucking applications and industrial applications where the cost to operate a vehicle is very high. You guys still there?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Okay, yeah, we're getting a little bit of feedback, so. All technology generally starts off being very expensive, and then over time becomes less and less expensive as more applications are able to use the technology. But generally we do believe that, again, trucking applications and commercial applications will be the first areas that you see it. The other area will be taxi cabs, but the taxi cabs in very limited environments. So here in Florida, for example, where a lot of people move to Florida, there are 1,000 people that move to Orlando, where we're sitting right now. There's a lot of home construction to support all those people moving here. So there's a lot of new subdivisions and communities that are being built to support that. Almost every subdivision that's being built in Central Florida now is being built with the idea that robo-taxis or autonomous taxis will be operating in the streets of those communities within the next 5 to 7 years. And in fact, when you move into these communities, that's one of the features that you'll actually be able to use a taxi, a robo-taxi, to pick you up and take you to the grocery store or to take you to your doctor's office. Or actually, just a couple weeks ago in South Florida, there was the first autonomous bus that actually was picking up students at their home and dropping them off after school and then picking them up at school and taking them home at the end of the day. It was a small bus that only held 12 students. But it was the first time, literally, in the entire world that students were picked up by an autonomous school bus and then taken home at the end of the day. But again, the community was built to put put the right safety precautions in place so that autonomous bus could operate in a very predictable environment. As Matt said earlier, computers or robots are very good at repetitive things. And so to the extent that you can design the environment to be very predictable with a lot of safety precautions, you'll see the autonomous robotaxis begin to be used mostly initially in those areas.
Hey, Brian, how are we doing on time? How much more time do we have?
We have 5 minutes?
Yeah.
We have about 5 minutes to go.
Okay, so I guess we can keep going down the list. Is there anything that is really burning from your end, Brian, that you'd like us to try to address in our last few minutes?
Do we have a question maybe they thought of in the last couple minutes if they want to go up and ask at the hot seat up in the front?
Yeah, that'd be great.
If I got one maybe said, oh yeah, what about this?
Yeah, so we're gonna put you back on our video.
Does anybody have a question they want to go? Ethan? All right, go for it, bud.
Hello?
Yes.
Will the public be able to use these cards, or will the rich only be able to use these cards?
Yeah, it's a good question. So one of the big benefits that people see with autonomous vehicles is that in the long term, once we've made the technology really capable and inexpensive, that it'll be able to actually make transportation, especially what we call point transportation, so from your house to the place you want to go to the store, much more approachable to a broader community. Around the world, there are a lot of communities that have really poor access to transportation unless they own their own car. For example, even in cities, a lot of people don't live near a bus stop or anything like that, and so it's very difficult for them to get to a lot of places that are important, like grocery stores even, for example. And so one of the real hopes is that once this technology becomes available, that it'll make access to transportation much less expensive. Imagine how frequently you might use a taxi cab if it was a quarter the price or less. If it would cost $1 or $2 to get across town as opposed to $10. It becomes much more approachable, and also a lot of city governments and counties and things are thinking about how they can use these technologies instead of buses. You look at a neighborhood here in Central Florida called Sanford, and they've already started subsidizing, which means paying partially for Uber rides in their community to promote people getting around in their community instead of organizing a bunch of their own buses. And so the hope is that this will be a much cheaper way to move people around and goods and things, but especially people around so that they have more access to it. During the question, I think it's a really important part of this, that the whole goal is to make transportation more accessible, less expensive, and safer for everybody.
Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
All right, and was there one more question? Thomas, did you have one? So you can go. Any more?
I think we're about out of time here, guys. So let's express our appreciation to our guests from Florida for visiting with us this morning. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to kind of educate us about the benefits and the costs of autonomous cars and the work you're doing with them. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye now.
Is there only this?
All right, guys, so finish your last notes on the handout, and then I'm going to collect them because we're going to use them for tomorrow for the